Hello, good evening, and welcome to another edition of Eye on Port. It is proudly brought to you by the Ghana Revenue Authority, the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Goyle Company Limited, Serene Insurance, as well as a proud sponsor for the program, and quite a number of media outlets as well. In particular, is the Business and Financial Times. If you get a Thursday edition of the Business and Financial Times, you should read about what transpires on this platform. Also, tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. on GH1, an abridged version of the program will be aired on that platform. And on Wednesday at 8:30 p.m., the abridged version will be aired on Ghana Television. We always urge you to make time and watch, so that if you have any concerns doing business with the port, and if you want to learn a lot about doing business with the port, you can always access the platform for that purposes. Today we are going to discuss the status of Ghana's ports and their readiness to sort of grab or capture the trade, assist this country capture the trade on the continent, as we're all seeking to have a free continental market that is supposed to involve about $3 trillion, involving about 1.2 billion people on the continent of Africa. We will assess the ports, we'll look at facility, we'll look at infrastructure, we'll look at whether industrialization, things have been done to prepare the nation to industrialize, to be able to harness the potentials that come along with the African continental free trade area. And we have the man himself, the Director General of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, joining us. Very important discourse we're going to have. So you may want to call a friend and call somebody else, call families, to sit down and listen, learn about the ports and know what to do as far as the industry is concerned, and also learn about how the industry is helping to prepare the grounds for a free continental market on this continent. We'll return pretty shortly after the break.
Every now and again, Goyle makes good things happen. This time, Goyle has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. Goyle Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. Goyle Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. Goyle Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with Goyle Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. Goyle has that sorted. Goyle, good energy.
Electricity, pay your taxes. Yeah. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Oh, how are you?
Hi Yvonne, a few words please. Everyone is talking about the fire at your production house last week. How are you holding up? Has production stalled?
No, not at all. My crew and everyone on my set is perfectly fine because I insure with Serene Insurance. As a matter of fact, I've had all my equipment replaced, including the vehicles that were affected. My workers have been sorted out. Even my production downtime has been covered. So it's all good. I have a meeting to attend to, so I have to get going. Sorry about that.
Which insurance company did you mention?
Serene Insurance, the new face of insurance, a member of First Sky Group.
Coronavirus yare no yare a sign pa. So obinya bi na se opo wagu so ana se obinti gu so a utumenya yare ni bi.
Okadi ni bahani onaka oyehila ekoji. Ohe banye do. Obawulo. Ogo bahunu. Obachine, Jamba Wahi, Obana Sen Kaka, Mekmemusunchon, Mekmenuni and Nihi. Chiton Boninke, Jem of Fermo, Bash Chon Okadi Neko.
Coronavirus infection, the symptoms can range from mild, one of it being asymptomatic. Asymptomatic just means that you may not have any symptoms at all, and the disease process can gradually worsen to be a severe form, the severest being ultimately death.
We are expected to sanitize our hands when our hands are not visibly soiled or you can't really see dirt on your hands. If you can see dirt on your hands, the best thing to do is to wash your hands with soap and the running water.
If you're using any of the cloth face masks, always make sure you have a rubber bag ready to receive it when you remove it, or you have a bowl of warm soapy water in which you can place the mask and wash. Wash your mask, dry in the hot sun for at least 5 hours, and apply heat by way of ironing.
Utiliser les ports de Tema et de Takoradi, c'est avoir un traitement rapide et sécurisé de vos marchandises diverses en conteneurs, en sac ou en vrac, ainsi que tous vos véhicules en transit. Le Ghana a construit un parking bien pavé pour tous les véhicules en transit. Une nouvelle gare frigorifique pour le stockage de la marchandise congelée en transit. Avec un nouveau centre de traitement de données construit et la mise en œuvre efficace d'un guichet unique national qui permet aux données d'être accessibles par tous les intervenants, le traitement des dossiers dans les ports du Ghana est maintenant efficace et plus efficient. Utiliser les ports du Ghana, c'est profiter des systèmes de portes électroniques et d'exploitation des terminaux, ainsi que de la réservation des navires en ligne, entraînant ainsi un parc de camions fiable pour un acheminement de vos marchandises dans les brefs délais avec un suivi satellitaire jusqu'à nos frontières.
Les femmes, à vous les honneurs.
Les ports de Tema et de Takoradi célèbrent la femme. Que les bienfaits de cette célébration apportent plus de bénédictions.
Welcome back to the program. It's Iron Port, and as we always urge you, if you have any issues doing business with the port, we continue to urge you to send them across on this program. We will definitely share them with the rest of the world, and if we get answers for you, we will definitely bring them across to you. My guest in the studio is the Director General, Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Mr. Michael Eluguje, and our topic for tonight is the status of the ports of Ghana and their readiness for the African Continental Free Trade Area. Good evening, DG. Good to see you.
Sammy, good evening. Good to see you too.
Sorry for hijacking you on a Sunday. I know that there's a lot on your table, but as always, we try to, pull you some way, somehow. Welcome.
Oh, the port is 24 hours. So
you two, you are ready 24 hours?
We're all working 24 hours, yes. Yeah.
Good. But how is the port doing, though? How are the ports? Because there's the Takoradi and then the
well, generally, the ports are doing well. They are doing well, open to business. Mm-hmm. We are open to handling ships 24 hours. Any ship that arrives, any time of the day and the week, the ship will be serviced. I think it's clearance of cargo into town. That is what we've excluded Sundays.
Okay.
But Monday to Saturday, you can clear your cargo from the port from morning till about 8 p.m.
Monday to Sunday?
Monday to Saturday.
To Saturday, morning till 8 p.m.
Morning
you can clear your cargo?
Yeah, if you are at Golden Jubilee at 8 p.m., you notice they are still working, trying to clear what has been queued for the day.
Okay.
But for vessels, it's 24/7.
Okay.
Anytime
so vessels come in even on Sundays?
Even on Sundays.
And do you stevedore door even on Sundays?
Certainly.
Okay.
For the vessel makes money when it is moving. Mm-hmm. So if you want your port to be efficient, anytime a vessel arrives, you should be able to discharge the cargo or load it.
Yeah.
Whatever the vessel comes to do.
Yeah.
You should be able to service this vessel for it to continue to move, rather than keeping it waiting because of a weekend or a public holiday.
Yeah, but why are we not able to clear on the Sundays, though? And then probably the weekends as well, the holidays as well.
Well, I think for the weekend, for the land side, the land side to also operate 24 hours, that would take some little more time.
Okay.
Though some kind of work is being done from the MPS Terminal 3 side, they have tried to push towards even working in the night, day and night working with customs.
Okay.
Side, I think we are in some exchanges with Ghana Revenue Authority. We've written to them. They've asked for a few things to be put in place, including some extra men they will need to be able to help us ensure that every part of Tema Port also runs day and night services. But we'll get there. We'll get there very soon.
Okay. Yeah. And then, you know, towards this, the end of the year, we often see it to be the peak season and all of that. Are we seeing that within this year as well? 2020, a lot of things have happened. COVID here, COVID there, and all of that. Are we still seeing that peak as we have always been seeing?
Yeah, generally, of course, it wouldn't be the peak of any other year.
Okay.
Because of the peculiar nature of 2020. But we are still noticing the peak. Of course, the COVID slowed down a lot. And just when the lockdown was relaxed a bit, we noticed a certain hike in the activity. So it's not going to be the normal peak that we see, but we'll still experience a lot of it.
Okay.
And we are seeing it actually building up. And sometimes election years slows down a bit. Here. But I believe once we cross December 7, we are going to see more of volumes peaking into the end of December and early part of January.
Okay. Yeah. So aside the COVID situation, because of elections as well, so relatively things would not look regular.
Exactly. Some people will either rush to get their cargoes in before the election or wait a bit for the elections to be over before.
What's the science behind that, though?
Well, I think it's just normal about, you know, some form of uncertainty in the business community. Okay, let's wait and see, you know, what is going. Especially in, you know, the way we do the way some people approach politics. It's always about you don't know what is going to happen. You know, well, it's democracy. Certainly, the one who is delivering will win, and whoever wins is a country that is moving forward. The development will continue. It's not going to be as if someone has won and therefore people will not
everything comes to a halt.
People will continue to consume. But you know, the business community have their own interpretation of seasons and how they react to those seasons. I guess that is why. But it's normal. It always picks up very well in our country.
After the elections is
After
over.
the elections,
Okay. And the COVID, to what extent have you been influenced or impacted within the ports?
Well, the port sector, I think the COVID did impact on us on several fronts. First, from the cargo side, we got a significant slowdown in volumes that were coming in. Let me not use the word significant because the volumes really didn't drop coming from outside, but they slowed down during the lockdown. So a lot of people who had imported, but shipment hadn't commenced. Those shipments delayed during the period. And then shipments that also arrived and needed to be cleared onto the economy also delayed in the port. Though the president made it available that people, at least those who are meant to go and clear cargo trucks could still move during the 3 weeks lockdown. It wasn't very easy to convince people to actually step out and go and clear cargo. So though we announced everywhere, listen, if you are coming to clear cargo, we gave all manner of permits for you to show to the police to be able to come to the port. Many could not do so. They couldn't do so. So cargoes got locked up. And when the lockdown was lifted, we had to write off a lot of rent that had accumulated. And also, with the support of Ghana Shippers Authority and the rest, also engage the shipping lines to also waive a lot of demurrage on containers. And of course, all the other interventions, anti-COVID interventions, we had to, a lot of budget had to be made available to be able to intercede in all those areas that have to do with COVID, including, of course, paying our hospital staff 50% extra and all that.
Hey, 50%? Oh, yes.
So that was the president's
part
of the president's, you know.
And you have the main hospital, your International Maritime Hospital, and you have the GPK clinic
and Takrady. Okay. Yeah. So we had to make budget that wasn't planned for. We had to make resources available to intervene in all those areas. But I think generally we've been able to cope very well. And our health workers are doing quite well in dealing with it. So from the cargo volume side, I think the impact is just about, if you are looking at it purely from COVID point of view, just about, you know, less than 10%, about 5-6% reduction. But with the lifting of the lockdown, we saw a peak. So our belief is that between now and the end of the year, we probably will catch up, but won't catch up fully like in 2019. On some of the areas, we might catch up.
Do you have some numbers that you're able to relate, even though that you mentioned that relatively it's about 10% reduction? Are there some specific numbers that indicates the performance?
Well, actually for Tema, the effect, we've suffered the effect of COVID more in Takoradi in terms of cargo volumes.
Okay.
More in Takoradi than in Tema.
Why is that?
I think essentially, well, Takoradi's case, the COVID effect is on the oil services, all the oil services logistics. You know, with the COVID and the lockdown, you know, oil prices dipped significantly. So all the oil exploration activities that were happening, a lot of them had to cancel contracts and pack baggage and leave. And as a result, all the supply vessel related traffic into the port and the revenues we had to generate as a result. I think that traffic alone dropped by about 53%.
I see.
Yeah, for Takoradi.
Wow.
Of course, there was also manganese. But the manganese issue was some challenges they had with government on taxes and others. That was even in the latter part of 2019. So they shut down. They stopped.
Government directed that they shut down.
Yeah, they had some challenge and had to shut down. Of course, they were certain they were going to come back by January, February of 2020. Unfortunately, COVID came, so they couldn't come until June, July.
Okay.
So we also saw some 50% drop in manganese volumes for exports that were expected.
Okay.
So Takoradi, for the import side, all the oil services related activity dropped by about 53%. And then the manganese volumes also dropped by about 50%. So putting all that together is very significant. For Tema, essentially we, you know, by the nature of our activity, where we do more of imports.
Yeah.
And the imports naturally are more of consumables. And so we didn't feel the effect as much as Takoradi's case.
Okay.
But in all, we are certain that getting to the end of the year,
you should be able to match up somehow.
We might not do exactly the total volume of 27 million that we did for last year for both ports. Because of the dip in Takoradi, we probably might end the year around maybe 23, 24 million.
Okay.
Mainly as a result of the effect of Takoradi.
And looking at the factors that have played within the year, you think that's fair? It's a fair figure to end the year with?
Certainly. It's a very fair figure. Because without those incidents, we definitely were going to perform much better than 2019 on the 27 point something million volume of traffic. We should have probably our aim, because usually we look at 5-6%, between 5 and 10% growth per annum. So definitely we would have been hitting close to 30 million by the end of this year.
Yeah.
But for COVID.
Okay.
I think on the whole we should be fine.
So you have COVID hanging your neck. You have elections also hanging your neck, and just right after elections, you have a 1.2 billion people market involving $3 trillion dollars that you're supposed to begin to face. It's an open market that the entire African continent is hoping to sort of benefit from or harness from. Yeah. To what extent have you positioned your ports? So we have Takoradi, we have Tema, to be able to get into this year as soon as we get into January 1st going forward?
Well, Ghana's ports actually have the master plan of Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, and for that matter, with the support of the government, it's a visionary one that was looking at Ghana as the hub for West and Central Africa, you know, in several years to come. And this master plan started way back in the 2000s, looking at growth and what positioning Ghana needed to place ourselves. Containerization, we started with Tema Port, the Terminal 2, where we built it ourselves and later concessioned it to MPS. And we had it as part of the master plan that by the time volume grew to a certain minimum of about, let's say, 600, 700,000 TEUs, we should begin to go into the phase 2 of Tema Port expansion, where we then have a dedicated container terminal. Not just a container terminal that is built within to serve just our volume of under 1 million, but a terminal that will be meant to be able to carry as much as 5 to 10 million TEUs down the line. And that's why Terminal 3 was conceived and built, Today, Terminal 3 is currently in West Africa. It's the biggest. It's the biggest container terminal, in West Africa today.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it is.
More bigger than Lomé and Abidjan?
Of course, Abidjan hasn't even finished. Abidjan is now
they are still building.
They are now building. Lomé did one. The MSC terminal in Lomé.
Yeah.
Yes, the MSC terminal in Lomé is not as big as Terminal 2. Terminal 3.
The phase 1, both phase 1 and 2 of Terminal 3.
Even the phase 1.
It's bigger than the MSC.
The current phase
terminal.
1 of Terminal 3 is bigger than the MSC terminal.
Okay.
MSC had a projected growth. If they build the entire terminal, it should be much, much bigger.
Okay.
But they haven't finished. They've done phase 1. They've started operation.
Okay.
And then...
so they also have phase 2 coming up?
They have phase 2 coming up.
Okay.
But we don't really know what plans they have.
Yeah.
You do it on the basis of the trade.
Yeah.
How much trade comes in, then you can expand. So today we are boasting as Ghana, I would say West and Central Africa actually. If you from Angola all the way to Senegal.
I see.
We have the biggest container terminal, and we are very proud of that. If you look at single terminal and volumes that are handled, we're able to do 1 million at the close of 2018 and 2019. We don't know, maybe the effect of COVID might affect us a little bit. Otherwise, our target was to even cross the 1 million mark. And we are receiving the biggest container vessels that are calling. They come straight to Tama first before they go into other ports to drop their cargoes. And interestingly, even MSC, that owns the terminal in Lomé,
is using Tema Port as
they
transshipment.
call Tema Port first before they move into their own facility. That should tell you that sometimes the argument that, well, you have two terminals that are too close might not necessarily be. If Ghana has a strategic advantage, you can still be the first port of call before those big ships go into other terminals where they have even special interest. So I would say on the whole, and if you go to look at Takoradi 2 is well positioned as part of our master plan to ensure that we are ready for business before the business even goes to in. Takoradi 2 has been fully expanded. We've done our own side as GPHA. We have a partnership with Ibistec, which is building the Atlantic terminal in Takoradi. The target is for it to open for business no later than November 2021. And when that opens, all container operations and general cargo operations will be consolidated at that terminal. Then we've also had a dedicated dry bulk jetty that has been developed. We are in the phase 2 of its development, where it's going to be equipped with conveyors to be able to help us handle all our bulk exports, clinker, bauxite, gypsum, and all those other products that are needed, manganese and the rest. So that is also dedicated and modernized. Then we have the oil services jetty, which has also been built in partnership with Ibistec. That was commissioned actually by His Excellency the Vice President in Takoradi in September. That is also meant to serve, in fact, its capacity. It has a capacity to serve the whole liquid bulk industry for as many years to come, given the volumes we consume today and that terminal's capacity to handle. So, and then we have a fourth phase in Takoradi, which is going to be what we call the oil and gas services hub. That hub is going to be a concentration of everything that the oil industry needs, offshore oil industry requires. And that one too, we are in discussion to look at partnership with a foreign entity, so that we can invest appropriately, both financially and latest technology, to ensure we provide the best of services to the oil services industry. So on the whole, Ghana's ports are ready for business today and into the future.
Yeah, but
let me also just add that you are aware that His Excellency the President has also, graciously, heard the call of Ghanaians and in particular the people of the Volta region to build the Keta Port.
Yeah.
Keta Port existed even before Ghana gained independence, the harbour, and unfortunately the sea eroded the entire project. Before Tema was built, they've been telling us, before Tema was even built, Keta had a harbour already.
I see.
And it has been the dream of the people that government one day will agree to build the port. Unfortunately for us, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo said he was going to do that, and he's issued an executive instrument. He has requested the Ministry of Transport and the Ports Authority to take all the steps to ensure the port comes to being. We've commenced the process. We have commissioned a consultancy firm that is conducting feasibility study. That study is going to be completed and the report submitted no later than January. So by February, we'll be discussing that. We get a white paper out of it with the support of the president, and then we will then begin to look at partnerships and investments that are required to develop that port. So that port is going to be a reality. In the meantime, we are already setting up a satellite project office that is going to contain information office and a security post and project planning office. That is ongoing right now.
In Keta?
Yeah, we expect that to be ready not later than the 1st of December, ready for occupation and business. So
the 1st of December is just next week.
Yeah,
first,
actually. 1st December, that office is going to be ready and ready to be equipped so that once you travel to the project site, you don't just stand outside to look at things. You have an office you can sit in, project team can sit there and do some work. There will be permanent 24-hour security at that facility to ensure it is safe. And then, of course, there will be an information office because people go and they are asking questions. What is it about? You have all the information that you get to answer there. That's the first point that must happen this year. And then when we begin to discuss construction and investment from next year, there is a unit from which all those discussions will take place. And we, as a port authority, we are very happy that thanks to His Excellency the President, we are having a third port to add to our numbers. And of course, apart from that, we also, there's also, with the support of the President, the Mpakadan port is going to be, inland water port is also going to be done in collaboration with the private sector.
That's around the eastern region, the Sojaman constituency area.
That's right. And of course, the massive railway infrastructure that is going on, as a port, we are happy because the port needs to be connected. If the port is not connected to the hinterland where goods can move in and out freely, then you really don't have a port, no matter how first class your infrastructure is. So when we are very supportive and happy about the railway infrastructure development, which is quite massive, linking Tema to Akosombo. And from what we heard from government's own projects, plans for the rail sector going forward, there's a lot of to even connect the Keta port site and connect both ports, Tema, Takoradi, and even Keta, to Buankra, which is the inland logistics hub that has also just been, the President cut the sword also just quite recently for that particular project to also begin to develop. So there's a massive work that is not just developing the port infrastructure and getting us ready to handle any volume of trade going to the future, but also connecting us to our hinterland, where the goods must come from for export and go back to us imports. So on the whole, we are fine and we are ready.
I would love for, at some point in the course of the discourse, for you to connect Keta Port, Mpakadan Port, and Buankra, and to what extent these would be useful and helpful going into the future as far as when we have an expanded trade in the region is concerned. But for now, in Mpakadan, do you know the state just the way you've given highlights on the Keta port? Do you know where it is now?
Well, Mpakadan...
Is it supposed to be under GPHA though?
Yeah, Mpakadan will be under the supervision and technical oversight of GPHA, but it is a private sector-led project by LMI. LMI Holdings, they are going to finance that port 100%, but GPHA would own it, right, representing government to ensure that it operates to standard as far as the port is concerned. It will be built to the standard and to also operate to the standard. It will charge fees that are within the ambit of Ghana's port tariff structure. So that is the role we have been given because the private entity is going to fund it 100%. So that's the role we have been given, and we've been working with that private sector investor, looking at the progress he's making. He's conducted his feasibility studies already in terms of the market survey to see how viable the project will be. He sought some advice on what type of volumes can go from Tema into that, what volumes can freely move in there, and what volumes probably will need some kind of government fiat to go there. We are discussing those ones because we expect it to be a free trade environment. Let the customers see that there is value in taking goods through that port, and then say, let my goods move from Tema to that location and go up. But down the line, if there's a need to try and reroute volumes and ensure that they go there, why not? But the advantage of the Mpakadan is that it is going to be linked to the port by rail.
Yeah.
And that
to
is
the Tema Port.
To Tema Port, sorry.
Okay.
To Tema Port by rail, and that's the advantage. So once Mpakadan is able to demonstrate the economic advantage of picking the container from the rail and putting it on a barge to the north via the lake, and then continuing by road to its destination, if that economics is done to show that it is cheaper than coming all the way with your truck to Tema to carry one container and drive all the way to the north or to Burkina Faso, naturally, you know, the customer will quickly patronize that project. So that is where we are. But we are providing all the advice purely from the technical and regulatory point of view, whilst the investor is looking at the commercial side and then working it out.
Okay, so I wanted to know, is it the case that it's supposed to benefit from some of the excesses of what would happen at Tema Port, or it's also supposed to have some of its own area of operation? So if you take Takoradi, for instance, it's oil and gas hub and taking care of all those bulk cargo, the manganese bauxite and all of that. Tema is doing a lot of container and all of that. Yeah. Is there specific operational area for the Mpakadan as well, or is supposed to rely on the back of the excesses from Tema Port?
You know, the Mpakadan by its location is an inland port, and the inland port in any part of the world has to feed from a coastal facility, a coastal port, which is more open to all the volumes that come from the external market. So Mpakadan has to feed from Tema.
Yeah.
And so the competitive segment of Mpakadan will be that rather than you coming all the way from Burkina Faso and Mali and Niger, drive all the way to Tema, go through all the congestion, Kumasi and the rest, and come to Tema to come and load. Why don't you wait at the north? Let's say Bupe.
And then you connect from there.
Or come to Makango, because the Mpakadan route is looking at a number of, you know, relay points. Why don't you come there? It shortens your distance by, I mean, even more than half. As for this, if you are looking at in terms of traffic and the rest, probably it shortens your stress by about 75%. Just come and wait there, and your cargo will move from Tema to that place for you.
So you reduce the cost of transport and all of that.
So that is the model that Mpakadan is supposed to present. Okay. So now it's left for the importer or exporter to do the economics. That, okay, I mean, how much am I going to pay by rail from Tema to Mpakadan, and then offloaded onto a barge, taken by water to the next point where I would then come and pick with my truck. If I put all that together, is it cheaper for me compared to if I come straight to Tema like I've been doing?
Okay.
And then the decision will be taken from there.
Okay, since we've stayed on this one, let me just connect to the Buankra then, because the Buankra is also supposed to be inland, and is that also supposed to operate around this model of, you know, taking cargo from either Tema or Takoradi to the inland port, and then for those from the north or maybe the landlocked nations, they can just pick them from the inland port and then send them away?
Yes, that is the concept for Buankra, but the challenge today with Buankra is, unlike in Mpakadan, where Mpakadan is going to build just at the railhead, the terminal, the terminus of the rail from Tema. Mpakadan today is not connected to the rail yet, right? So, but I think the
Buankra or Mpakadan?
Sorry, Buankra is not connected to rail yet, and because of that, though the Ministry of Railways has confirmed that the plans are there to make sure that there is the Takoradi, the western line is able to get a link into Buankra, and the central line from Accra all the way would also be connected to Buankra. When that happens, then Buankra can also comfortably compete to feed from Tema and Takoradi.
Okay.
But today, because that infrastructure is not there yet, Buankra, that's why Buankra is no longer even called an inland port. It's called a logistics, logistics hub or logistics center. The reason is that its model is now going to be a consolidation center.
Okay.
Where all cargoes from here that are not necessarily going to shop floors in the market, but they are going to industry. They have to be repackaged in some form and then sold within the market. Can move from Tema and go and consolidate there into warehouses, get repackaged, and then serving markets. So instead of people struggling within Kumasi Township I'm looking for a warehouse, I want a shop, you can come to the Buankra complex, get a facility there, build it to your taste, and make sure that you consolidate there. Then all export cargoes that probably are being consolidated in small corners around the market or in farmhouses that are not conducive, could also now have space within the Buankra enclave to come and be able to be consolidated and well packaged professionally, ready for shipment. In that case, everything for now, Buankra has to be fed by road transportation, trucks. Trucks will have to load everything in and out of that place until the rail connection comes. Then they will take advantage of the rail. Now, what advantage will Buankra get when rail finally comes? If they start from the logistics point of view today and rail comes one day, they will have built a certain niche because a lot of industries will have established there. And Buankra also has the free zone concept because it's a vast land. So the expectation is that Buankra itself can generate its own volumes to even feed the ports. A lot of export volumes should be generated there, and a lot of import raw materials and inputs should also be generated to still feed the ports. So we are excited as ports to have Buankra come into being. Thanks to His Excellency the President one more time and his government to make sure that comes into being, because that is going to help to even increase volumes through our ports. So that is the kind of linkage you have between these two.
And with these infrastructure and the kind of massive, the picture that you are painting, that kind of massive infrastructure, to what extent will that readily make us stand tall when we have this huge open market?
Okay, you know, the African Free Trade Area, the concept is simply that, unlike today, if you are shipping, assuming Ghana wants to ship, you are a producer of, let's say, tomato paste, right? And you want to export it to Ethiopia, for example, or you export it to South Africa. Now, the regime under which you can export, if there are restrictions if South Africa wants to protect its local producers, you cannot export that easily. Or you export, they will receive your cargoes into their country at a higher tax. Because the idea is to try as much as possible to protect local industry. But this free trade area within Africa is now meant to say that take out all those non-physical barriers, both physical and non-physical, take them off and allow it to be like one market. Let the whole of Africa now be like Kumasi and Accra. You
move without paying anything, no tax, no duty.
So that once that happens, then it means that if your country has the capacity to produce, and not necessarily just for Ghanaians, anybody within Africa should be able to establish in any country where they believe, they can produce at economic cost. They can have labor, skilled labor at economic cost to produce and be able to serve the market based on the needs. And what that means is that a lot of that is going to be produced and exported within the continent and without the continent. Because the expectation is also that labor should also be very mobile to the various industries that are going to work. So you can get all the skills you need at optimum cost and produce good quality, then you can export it, feed the whole of Africa and feed the external continents. So if we are operating ports and our ports derive demand from trade, and we have a policy decision or document that has been produced or concept that has come to being to open the whole of Africa, we are excited as ports. And Ghana is even more excited because our ports are already a step ahead in terms of capacity to accommodate the volumes as imports in terms of raw materials to come and feed the industries, and the volumes that will be exported outside Ghana into neighboring countries. Of course, the interesting part is also to see how rail can be developed across the continent. Road network can be first class across the continent, so that neighboring countries will not necessarily use water to ship the sea to ship their imports and exports, but they can use the road as well. But for now, we are excited about that.
So for somebody who just knows that you have completed phase 1 of the Tema Port expansion, you have a Takoradi container terminal operational. You have the other one you mentioned, Atlantic Terminal also coming up at
Takoradi.
Help me get the benefit, direct benefit of some of those physical projects or infrastructure? Because we hear it often, and the recent AFCFTA conference, for instance, a lot of talks about how infrastructure would make the difference. And you have invested heavily in that area, in the area of infrastructure. Somebody who doesn't really get why and how that can make direct impact, to what extent can, for instance, manufacturing suction piles in Takoradi now, which just began not too long ago, make that kind of difference? If you can highlight those for us.
Okay. Now, the reason why infrastructure is at the base of economic growth, trade and economic growth, is that today, if you compare, let's even say, assuming there was a motorway, right? Accra Tema, I just want to use that as a basic example. If the Accra Tema motorway did not exist, and yet population has grown, and we have to move between Tema and Accra using beach road, the beach road that we see today. And even assuming Spintex Road also didn't exist, and then everybody has to
use that narrow stretch.
You probably will use 5 hours to commute between Tema and Accra. How much is left for you to work? So if you left Tema to come and sell in Accra, and you have to spend 5 hours to get to the market, maybe 3 more hours is dark. And then tomorrow you have Spintex Road, highway, motorway, highway, where you can then do less than an hour, 30 minutes, and you are already on the market selling. I mean, that's just a very vivid example of the impact of infrastructure. Do you understand? So that is just to tell you, certainly you do better, right? You do better if you have the infrastructure than if you don't have it.
Okay.
Now, let's take the port sector. The port sector, if we did not have the infrastructure, and then maybe every ship that comes, it has just one berth, assuming Tema Port just had just one berth, to serve this 27 million tons per annum of trade. What it means is that all the ships that call, and you have about almost 2,000 ships calling Tema Port in a year. What it means is that when the ship comes, if 5 ships come, you probably will it will take you about weeks and months to service those ships. Because each one has to come and finish discharging and get out before the next one comes. But if you expand, such that as we have today, where you can have MPS Terminal 3 taking 3 ships at the same time, 4 ships at the same time, and then the main GPJ Terminal 2 side. Today we are also able to take 2 smaller container ships at the same time.
So issues of congestion and all of that are way things of the past.
So ships now call Tema Port and they berth on arrival. You don't queue. But you check other ports. They go there and they have to queue. They have to queue for space to be made available before they come in. And for the ship, once they are waiting and not moving, they are losing money. They want that once they come, you give them way, they come, discharge and move. Now, if you check with shipping lines, they will tell you that freight rates, that is how much our importers pay to move containers and other cargoes from the foreign countries into Ghana. The money you have to pay the shipping line to carry your goods, that they call freight rates. The argument is that coming into Ghana is cheaper than a couple of our neighboring countries that don't have the kind of facility we have. Let me just use Nigeria as an example, where there's a lot of congestion in the Lagos ports. You are going to Lagos ports and you have the feeling, you know at the back of your minds that the minimum you wait before you even have access into the port is 3 days, 3 to 4 days. Now, but if you are coming to Tema, you know you arrive and you berth straight. So there's congestion surcharge that you ask your importer to pay extra if you are asking them to take the cargo to Lagos. But calling into Ghana ports, that kind of surcharge doesn't exist. So infrastructure is key. If you don't have it, you can have all the advantages, comparative or absolute advantages in trade. You can produce, but you wouldn't be able to move that goods to the market. And once you can move to the market, it means your effort is a waste. The goods will go to waste.
Yeah, and I would love for you to throw light on some of those infrastructure shortly before we hit policies as well. But while you were giving the example, I like the example you gave with the beach road and all of that, because we know that connectivity also play significant role when it comes to trade, movement of goods and all of that. And the motorway interchange, for instance, initially you had the temporary one done, and then now there is an interchange that's over there. To what extent does that one, for instance, boost trade on the corridor? Because that stretch links Togo all the way through, and then hit the motorway, and then you'll be hitting the transit nations. To what extent is such facility, for instance, able to connect trade as we're hitting the free market?
Okay, trade feeds on time, distance, time, and cost. And when I say cost, you're talking about direct cost in terms of cash, but the indirect cost you can count is time. If you delay, if it takes you longer than you expect to get your goods from A to B, you lose money, right? And then, no matter how long the distance is, if the road infrastructure is good, if the connectivity is good, you can arrive at your market in good time. Now, the motorway interchange. Those of us who live in Tema, and we've experienced that particular roundabout, those days when it was just a roundabout. I mean, you could spend 2 hours just to connect and hit Accra if you are leaving the port. And you had cargo trucks that had to queue. And because of that, they left the main motorway and they were inside the Tema township. Some using even the beach road and creating causing a lot of accidents in town. Today, the interchange doesn't look like a crossroad. You don't see any, all the cargo traffic moves very quickly. And for traders, they are happy about that. For any cargo owner who is moving cargo from the port in and out, it's happy that when you are accessing the port, you can get there in good time and come back. Because even the trucker, the one who takes his truck to the port to go and load, how fast he can turn around the trucks is how he makes money. If the trucker has to go to the port and load and to spend 3 weeks in transit, or a whole month to get to Burkina Faso and come back and load, how much can it move in a year for him to make his money? But where he knows that the truck can turn around as quickly as possible, and he can within a month probably do about 5 trips or 6 trips, he'll be more prosperous than somebody who can do just 1 trip or twice a month. So the connectivity is key. And that is why the ideal situation is for you to have multimodal transport. In other words, you have road available, you have inland water available, you have rail available. That way, you as a trader, you are able to look at all these 3 modes and see, do you use just one of them which you could consider is cheaper for you, or you can even use a combination of 2 or 3 to make sure you get your goods as quickly as possible to your market or to your factory floor or wherever the goods have to be consumed. So connectivity is critical. Without connectivity, if your port is not linked to as smoothly as possible to road or any other mode that your country has, so that goods can go in and out quickly, no matter how much infrastructure you have, how much facilitation you have, how much IT infrastructure and trade facilitation platforms, single window that you have, you can clear the goods quickly from customs, but they'll get stuck from the roadside. They can't get out into town to get to the shop. And naturally, once that happens, gradually there'll be a backlog because cargo is not moving out. It is piling up at the waterfront. It will affect even your ships that are calling.
Is that what necessitated most of the refurbishment, if I have to put it that way, of some of the major routes you have within the port area? If you take the Tema, for instance, the Golden Jubilee frontage is currently fixed, and then if you take Takra, the roundabout there, that leads to the port, is the Kudukrum roundabout or whatever, that leads into the port. Did you deliberately place some policy on fixing some of these?
The port zone.
For such purposes?
Certainly. The port zone itself, it is a requirement that the port zone, every inner routes within the port must be first class. Because, heavy cargo moves in and out within the port. The port environment should not be so dusty. It shouldn't be. Neither should the roads beside that within a week or two they are deteriorated. You have to do first-class routes within the route, within the port itself to connect terminals. Connect within the terminals in the port. There should be good routes, and between the port and its nearby, township, the roads must be good. The roads must be good because look at it. Before that Golden Jubilee Terminal Area Road was done, it was so bad that dust alone was making doing business there.
Yeah.
And during the rains, some portions were not even possible to use. What that then means is that you probably will leave main port, you are from main town going into Save-Born Company, you are forced to probably go and use the inner port road. That also contributes to congestion, which shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Within the ideal situation is where traffic flows smoothly. The port area shouldn't see congestion if it is well planned and basic infrastructure is properly provided. You shouldn't see congestion within the port area.
So what is the bigger plan that you have in clearing that part of congestion? Because you've done the Golden Jubilee, but a lot of people also complain about the trucks that are sitting on the shoulders of the road. There are a lot of trucks there. Now you're going to have a free trade market. More trucks, if you're hoping to get a lot of trucks coming to do business.
Yeah.
All these ones will be coming from Mali, Niger, Burkina, and all of that, even Togo. Now all of them will be coming in. If now some trucks are already sitting on the shoulders, what would happen should we have that influx? And what plans do you have for that?
Well, the Tema Township itself, unfortunately, has become so congested. So getting a vast span of land to dedicate it to empty truck park is a challenge. But we are working with the office of the mayor, Tema Mayor, and also with TDC to identify a good location where we can ensure all trucks move into. That is a project that is ongoing. I mean, we've looked at initially. You see where this China Mall is across.
Yeah,
that was some location that was identified initially
near the toll booth.
Near the toll booth, and the other side of the bridge.
Okay.
The other side of the bridge,
heading towards Ashama.
But down the line, unfortunately, we were not able to get to a proper agreement with the municipal assembly because apparently that place was earmarked as a car park to move all vehicles from the Ashama area into that area to do a lot of movement. So we were not able to align the needs to know that the trade component of it and then what the city authorities wanted to use the facility for. So we lost that particular project. But we are looking down the motorway stretch even towards Accra itself. And we're also going forward down into Dawenya area to see if we can find a good land that we can use. And when that happens, it means that we compel every truck to wait there. And we only use the call system. If you have business to do in the port, you come and you don't wait hanging around, you move in to do it. But now a lot of the trucks come just waiting for business. Of course, you notice within the Tema Port area there are some temporary areas where we have trucks parking. We are going to see how in the interim we can probably just do basic compacting of those areas to get the trucks properly parked. So it's a project that is of concern. And we are exploring all available means to ensure that we can clear all trucks off the pavements and the surroundings of the port.
Okay, let's move away from infrastructure and talk about the clearance process and ease of doing business and processes of clearing goods and all of that, because that will play a critical role when a lot of people are going to trade with us.
Yeah.
If you're hoping that more people will be trading with you, it means that you're supposed to help easy ways for them to clear their goods and do their businesses and all of that. At some point around 2017 thereabout, we heard about the paperless and all that. What are some of the policies that's going on within the port space there where we are hoping to see easy ways of clearing goods out of the port? Because the last time I checked, the World Bank ease of doing business for the entire country wasn't looking too pleasant.
Well, I need you to understand that from the cargo clearance facilitation perspective, ease of doing business, there are quite a number of, what do we call it? Indices, okay? But when you look at the single window project, which is the critical point that the ports are interested in.
Related to the port.
I mean, Ghana within in West Africa. In West Africa, I think if you took away Benin, for example, Benin, they of course they are a smaller market. So sometimes when we compare ourselves with the smaller ones, we want to agree that yes, they've been able to facilitate faster than we do, but by the sheer size we have, that could be a reason. If you look at the progress that we have made, the single window started with GCNet and others working, but the climax was in with the launching of the what do you call it? The paperless project by His Excellency the Vice President, and the target of 3 months, just 3 months, that was given for Ghana to be able to quickly move into the paperless project. And I think we made a lot of progress. We made a lot of significant progress in Ghana. Initially, when Vice President announced in May and said by September 1st, it was a challenge. But thank God, all stakeholders, all hands were on deck, the Port Authority and everybody else were able to take off smoothly, reducing quite a lot of. But the Vice President actually, and the President himself, they didn't just rest and say, well, we've asked the ports to do it, or Customs and GRA to do it. It was a special project for the President and his Vice, keeping an eye on what is going on, whether we are getting things done or not. And thank God by the September, significant progress had been made, not just within the ports to facilitate things, but even along the corridor to our borders. And I think that really put us on a special mark. I remember at that time I was in Nigeria, and the sub-region, anybody who compared and heard what we were doing in Ghana, it was quite unique. They needed to come and see the progress that we're making. So from the single window and trade facilitation point of view, in terms of ease of clearing cargo in the ports, I think Ghana, we've done quite significantly well. Of course, ICOMS has now even come to make it even much more, simpler, because
Oh, has it?
Yes, ICOM has integrated the three different units that were operating: GCNet, West Blue, and Customs' own in-house program. The ICOMS has integrated all the three now into one end-to-end project. Of course, because ICOM just took over recently, it is not 100% integrated yet, but it is progressing, and we've been able to progress to the point where we are able to clear cargo as smoothly as possible.
We'll get the details of the ICOMS
so those components
from them as soon as possible. But on that bit of having a entire paperless, you came from the port. PAMWACA, is it Port Management Association of West and Central Africa? I'm very familiar with other ports and all of that. Look at the clearance processes in Ghana with the paperless system that you started operating from 2017, end of 2017 coming. Yeah. Where do we place as a country if you compare us with the other ports that are operating? So you take Lagos, you take Lomé, and you take Abidjan. Where do we place? Well, currently in terms of clearance processes?
Let me tell you that I'm not even going to compare us with just in West Africa. I can compare us take us South Africa to Namibia, okay? South Africa all the way down up to Morocco, right? If you take out Morocco and Mauritius, in terms of facilitation and ease of quick clearance of goods, Ghana comes next.
I see.
Yeah, Ghana comes next.
South Africa and Morocco, Ghana is next.
No, Mauritius.
Mauritius
and Morocco. Even South Africa, we are faster than them today.
So you're ranking us about 4th or 5th on the continent?
No, third or fourth. Third or fourth on the continent. If you're looking at West Africa, we are even first. I see. Taking just the West Africa sub-region, we are first.
And coming from you, the reason this is key, because I'm getting a lot of messages from particularly my graphic and business and financial times colleagues. Coming from you, this is key because you are the president of the Port Management Association of West and Central Africa.
Yeah, currently. Yes.
So you have that opportunity to assess these ports. And you're saying that we rank 3rd or 4th when it comes to port clearance.
Yeah, if you take just the Western,
one on the continent, in the region.
But West Africa today, in terms of port clearance with our paperless project, we are first. And the ports, the few that came to visit, and those that also ask questions to know how do we do it, they tell you. I mean, our example is unique. In fact,
because most of us here, a lot of people complain that clearing is taking long and all of that.
This year, but for COVID, we're going to receive so many ports coming to really have a feel of how the progress we've made in this paperless and the cargo clearance. Unfortunately, COVID prevented it, but we still had a couple of online conferences to discuss this whole facilitation thing.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to announce the WhatsApp messages officially, and the number that you can send your message if you have any question for the Director General, Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. 055-901-9177, 055-901-9177. The number that you can call is 020-552-8353, 020-552-8353. Aside these infrastructure and the port clearance processes that you have talked about, DG, what else do you think can complement these efforts if we're seeking to lead in this whole continental free trade thing? Because already, the last time I heard the Accra mayor saying that Accra has become the commercial capital of the continent because the secretariat, the trade secretariat is here. Yeah. A lot of expectations from Ghana and the Ghanaians themselves, because of the sort of noise we have made about the continent and the fact that the secretariat is here, the expectation is high. What else can complement the efforts that's been made within the port environment with the clearance, the infrastructure and all of that, that can really catapult us to that level?
I think complementary support that is required is the hinterland connectivity, because like I said, to date we are relying 100% on road to connect our ports to the hinterland, and so we need government's already ongoing massive rail project to be further accelerated and completed in good time to open up the ports to other modes. And of course, we need to also take our inland water, the Volta Lake transport connecting the north to the south, much more seriously and invest heavily and make sure that also opens to provide a third mode of transportation that will link our ports to the hinterland. From the customs facilitation side, I think the ICOMS is doing quite well. There are a few more hitches to clear it and get us to hit the peak of the best that we want. That should also be sustained, and we should look at the free trade area project itself. What we should be looking at is to see how the extra facilitation we are going to give in our own country, in terms of how easily and quickly people can register companies to do business, and then look at the regime of attracting the free zone project. Yeah. Our current free zone situation, the offers we give to people to come and establish industries and produce, if we need to even make it much more easier and affordable for people to be able to come and invest, we should explore all that. Of course, the government is already ongoing with its massive flagship project of planting for food and jobs and export and all that. That is a good project that must be enhanced and expanded, because when it's expanded, a lot of foreign investors will come in and partner with Ghanaians to expand. And once we expand and produce, you produce with inputs. Some of the inputs have to come from outside Ghana, from other continents or within the continent. All that is going to come to increase volumes. And once we do that and we produce more, then our market grows. But naturally, a lot of industries that want to take advantage will be happy to be in the country where the secretariat is hosted. Yeah. Because it's easy to reach out and get policy facilitation and advice on what to do, compared to being in another country and reaching out. So we have a unique advantage that we should take care of us. We should take advantage of us as Ghana.
Okay. Yeah. And somebody says that, there's a question. I have seen a project coming up around the Kpong area there. It is called Unity Terminal, I guess that's what he wants to say. Yeah. What is that meant? What is that supposed to be for? I'm sure, in paraphrasing, he wants to know what you intend to use the Unity terminal for.
The Unity terminal. This question,
what is that terminal though?
Oh, it's an inland terminal.
Okay.
It's an inland container depot. We are supposed to move containers from Tema Port to that place, where owners will go there to be open. They will offload the containers, cargoes into their trucks and take it to their homes. For those that bring, maybe 5 or 6 people bring goods in one container, and they need to offload the container and put it in a warehouse. There's a warehouse that has been provided that we call the CFS, Container Freight Station, where those goods will be kept there and the individual owners can come and clear them over time. If this questioner is familiar with Tema Port today, what Golden Jubilee is doing, that's exactly what the Unity terminal in Pong is supposed to be doing. So that's the idea.
And what's the state of that terminal now?
Oh, that terminal is about 95% complete.
Okay.
It's about 95% complete. We hope that it will be ready to start business by February, March of next year. It should be ready to start business. Yeah.
Okay. We're going to go for a quick break. When we come back, the Director General, Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, assessing the status of Ghana's ports at the moment, and then trying to see how best we have or we can position ourselves as a country using that particular sector to take advantage and harness the potentials of the African continental free trade area. I'll be right back.
Every now and again, Goil makes good things happen. This time, Goil has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. Goil Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. Goil Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. Goil Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with Goil Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. Goil has that sorted. Goil, good energy.
Electricity, pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water. Or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Oh, how are you?
Hi Yvonne, a few words please. Everyone is talking about the fire at your production house last week. How are you holding up? Has production stalled?
No, not at all. My crew and everyone on my set is perfectly fine because I insure with Serene Insurance. As a matter of fact, I've had all my equipment replaced, including the vehicles that were affected. My workers have been sorted out. Even my production downtime has been covered. So it's all good. I have a meeting to attend to, so I have to get going. Sorry about that.
Which insurance company did you mention?
Serene Insurance, the new face of insurance, a member of First Sky Group.
Coronavirus yare no yare a sign pa so obinya bi na se opowa gu so ana se obinti gu so a utumenya yare ni bi
okadi ni bahani onaka oyehila ekoji ohebanye do obawulo ogobahunu obachine ojamba wohe obana sen kaka mekmemusunchon mekmenu ni enihe
Coronavirus infection, the symptoms can range from mild, one of it being asymptomatic. Asymptomatic just means that you may not have any symptoms at all, and the disease process can gradually worsen to be a severe form the severest being ultimately death.
We are expected to sanitize our hands when our hands are not visibly soiled or you can't really see dirt on your hands. If you can see dirt on your hands, the best thing to do is to wash your hands with soap and the running water.
If you're using any of the cloth face masks, always make sure you have a rubber bag ready to receive it when you remove it, or you have a bowl of warm soapy water in which you can place the mask and wash. Wash your mask, dry in the hot sun for at least 5 hours, and apply heat by way of ironing.
Utiliser les ports de Tema et de Takoradi, c'est avoir un traitement rapide et sécurisé de vos marchandises diverses en conteneurs, en sac ou en vrac, ainsi que tous vos véhicules en transit. Le Ghana a construit un parking bien pavé pour tous les véhicules en transit. Une nouvelle gare frigorifique pour le stockage de la marchandise congelée en transit. Avec un nouveau centre de traitement de données construit et la mise en œuvre efficace d'un guichet unique national qui permet aux données d'être accessibles par tous les intervenants, le traitement des dossiers dans les ports du Ghana est maintenant efficace et plus efficient. Utiliser les ports du Ghana, c'est profiter des systèmes de portes électroniques et d'exploitation des terminaux, ainsi que de la réservation des navires en ligne, entraînant ainsi un parc de camions fiable pour un acheminement de vos marchandises dans les brefs délais avec un suivi satellitaire jusqu'à nos frontières.
Les femmes, à vous les honneurs.
Les ports de Tema et de Takoradi célèbrent la femme. Que les bienfaits de cette célébration apportent plus de bénédictions.
Okay, welcome back to the program. With me in the studio is the Director General of Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, and we are discussing the status of Ghana's ports and the readiness they are embracing the African Continental Free Trade Area. Now, Pierre says he's concerned about nose mask, and he says, okay, but now I'm fine because I can see the social distance between the two of you, you and the Director General. That's Pierre. Regular tester. This one says, please tell the Director General I'm admiring his composure. Okay, that okay. Please, sir, I'm a worker, and sometime back I heard about the 20% cry of the workers of the Ghana Port and Harbours Authority against that of Meridian Port Services. What is the latest? Okay. Director General, would you like to respond to that? It says, what's the latest with the MPS?
Okay.
I think, and there's a follow-up text that says that a lot had happened with the MPS and the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. If you can shed light on all that for us.
Well, thank you. I think it's important to clarify that MPS is a concessionaire of GPHA, and in that concession, GPHA has 30% shares, and the other parties have 70% shares. So under normal circumstances, the concession given by GPHA to MPS should run smoothly without any misunderstanding. Of course, the Terminal 3 project came with its own contract, and that contract was signed in August 2015. And it was meant to give the MPS, once the Terminal 3 opens, exclusive control over all containers that came into Tema Port. Now, the challenge, of course, that was signed in 2015. Most likely, a lot was not anticipated. A number of things were not anticipated down 2019 when implementation was to start. And so down 2017, 2018, as the time was getting closer for the Terminal 3 to open to business, GPH, we had to start looking at how we are preparing to usher in Terminal 3. And that preparation also included all the containers we were handling. And the fact that the contract demanded that all those containers should go to MPS once the contract starts. How were we going to cope with it? And when we did those analyses, we realized that the business we were controlling was such that if all of it was going to go in line with the contract's requirements, the economic costs and social costs was going to be so high that it would destabilize industrial peace within the port environment. In fact, our estimates indicated that it could affect not less than 1,000 employees
I see.
having to be declared redundant. So Port Authority had to escalate this matter to our board of directors, to our minister, and to His Excellency Mr. President. Of course, the understanding was that it's a contract that GPHA went into with the MPS other parties, and therefore we now have to respect the contract. And to respect the contract means that we should be prepared to bear the consequences. But thanks to our compassionate Mr. President, he felt that much as it's a contract, that should be respected. It was important for parties, for him to engage the parties involved, and then try to let them understand that it is not in the interest of Ghana for the contract's implementation to result in industrial instability within the port sector. And therefore, consideration should be made to at least reserve a certain volume of the container business for the Port Authority to continue to handle, so that wouldn't force us into the financial crisis that will compel us to have to declare labor redundant. So that is the background to the 20%, where the president had to intervene and get the MPS parties to understand the need to at least let go of 20% of the volume.
So that's secured now?
Yes, it is secured, but it's yet to be signed. But why it is secured but yet to be signed? And the signature process, discussions are ongoing for the signature. And we believe that should also be achieved, as soon as possible. That is what we believe. Because the engagement, because of how significant this 20% project is, it wasn't anticipated in the 2015 signing that was done. And so investors put their money knowing they were going to control 100% of the volume. Then come 2018, they are confronted with the fact that they must be prepared to let go 20%. Naturally, any investor, it's only governments that can easily say, well, for social interest, let me sacrifice. But the commercial private entrepreneur will not be prepared to even let go 10%.
Yeah.
So it's normal for the MPS parties that are going to lose the 20% to be quite hesitant or slow in their process of signing of the 20%. And Mr. President got us to understand that we need to appreciate it from that angle. We, GPHA management and our unions, we should appreciate it from that angle and have all the patience to be able to get the other parties to take us to a point where we can sign off the 20%. But in the meantime, what we have done was, as a port authority, is to say that, well, once the old terminal was available, and there is in principle understanding that 20% will be reserved for GPHA, we are only then going through a few conditionalities to get to the signature. And again, some shareholders were supposed to come down to Ghana to have an engagement with government for a better understanding of the 20% project and how it should be signed. But due to COVID, they haven't been able to travel down. All those things counted in the delay in getting us signing of the 20%. So because of that, we said, rather than saying that we should lose business and be suffering from the financial crisis and everything whilst waiting for signing, let us come to an understanding and begin to move in smaller vessels that we can accommodate within our 20%. Then we can be busy handling those ones, earning some revenue and keeping ourselves afloat whilst we wait for the right time when the environment will be conducive for the 20% to be officially signed off. Then we can take off in a more level playing field.
And that's been accepted by both parties, both you and your partner.
Exactly. That has been accepted. We are running that, quite smoothly in the port currently without any difficulty.
Okay. And this one wants to know about, so the fishing landing sites, we have seen about 11 of them. This is coming from Nene, from Boom. Says the fishing landing sites, we've seen about 11 of them coming up. What are they for? And what are their states at the moment?
Okay, the fish
also under Ghana Ports and Harbors Authority.
Yes, the fish landing sites, of course, we know it's a government project, government flagship project that was to start a couple of years back. It couldn't happen, thanks to Mr. President Adudanko Akufo-Addo. He has made it his special project to make sure the fish landing sites came to happen, and he's taken the steps. That has been done. The appropriate financing has been signed off by the Chinese to support. And the Ministry of Transport, in collaboration with the Ministry of Fisheries, has been mandated to work together to ensure this is done. The contractors have been signed on. Consultancy work has been completed. In fact, construction work itself has started in some of them. Of course, the contractors are not that so many to be able to have the fish landing sites are smaller projects, so you can't have 11 contractors to do it. So, and it's also a special project. So the contractor that's going to work on it has started. I think about 3 or 4 of the sites work has started already. But the interesting thing about the fish landing sites is that they are not just the simple canoe basins that we see around. These are state-of-the-art fish landing sites that are going to be built to make sure that the fishermen are able to come and let's bev their tie alongside their canoes, discharge their fish into a decent environment, have a market stores where they sell them in a more decent. Even the market women who come and buy fish to sell will also have more decent environment to work within. But what is more interesting about the fish landing sites project is that there is also what we call community projects. In other words, every fish landing site is going to have a school, a nursery,
a market, and some
market, so that all the fisher women that come to do whatever business have somewhere they can keep their children to go to school, to be taken care of. So it's going to be, those are unique projects that are going to, flood our coast as part of this project, and the process is ongoing.
Newton from Ashaman says, good evening, Mr. Ajiman and your guest. He's a very calm man. I would like to know about shipyard revamp so far promised by the government of Ghana.
Well, the shipyard revamping is still an ongoing project. Indeed, I want to remind everybody that the target or the objective of government is to revamp the shipyard with the support of private sector. Because the shipyard requires a minimum of $100 million to retool it to the level where it will be able to serve the shipping community as required. It needs phase 1. And so that kind of capital, certainly government alone cannot generate it. We need a private strategic investor to join us. That is ongoing. And I want to remind all of us that that process also slowed down because of the COVID issue. Otherwise, we had so many investors that expressed interest, but many of them want to send technical teams to come on the ground and assess the project before they would submit their proposals on what they are going to do. And that has stalled. A lot of them were planning with the improvement in the COVID situation to come down. And now we have the second wave, and that has also further slowed down. In the meantime, what government has done is to request the Port Authority and also some support from the Ministry of Finance to the Consolidated Bank to provide some advance funding to help the shipyard to keep, surviving and providing minimum services whilst the search for the strategic investor continues. We are doing so, and we are quite optimistic and hoping that we should be able to find an investor between now and the second half of next year.
Okay. Eric from Antwerp Port in Belgium says, hi, please, to what extent has the COVID, I think this one the DG has touched on, COVID-19 affected the Port Authority in Ghana and its revenue mobilization and financials? I think Port Regional Corporation should be intensified and stronger in order to reduce risk and shocks from global crisis. 2008-2009 global economic crisis affected European ports largely, but their strong regional cooperation helped to minimize its effect on global shipping. Again, is the Ghana port also investing in other ports outside its jurisdiction or areas within the maritime industry, and what investment portfolio is that? Are you looking beyond just the Ghana environment?
Well, for now, Ghana Ports is not investing in other ports outside Ghana or within Ghana, but in different areas outside the port area. In fact, our focus is to ensure our ports are adequately equipped and expanded for the trade. But we haven't, that idea to try and also explore other markets is still on.
Okay.
But we are not going to do that as public Ports and Harbors Authority, but we're going to do that as a Ports and Harbors Authority in collaboration with private sector. And that has started again thanks to this Nana Addo Dankwa's government, where that bold step was taken to empower Ibistec Limited in Takoradi Port to be able to invest in developing port infrastructure, to develop the first multipurpose container terminal in the port of Takoradi for starters. Because usually, for projects of that nature, if you are doing international competitive building, they will tell you you should have had an experience of running a container terminal before you even qualify to be shortlisted to bid. But government has been able to defend the Ghanaian project to say, listen, we have to always start from somewhere. We need to give Ghanaians the capacity, provided they have proven they can raise the funds, they can assemble the expertise to run the terminal. Let us give them the opportunity, even without that so-called prior experience. And government was able to defend that, and IBISTEC has stood to the task. They've been able to attract investment, and they are building the Atlantic terminal in Takoradi Port, which will open to business at the end of November. Now, when we build that Ghanaian model of terminal operations, then gradually down the line, Ghana too will have the likes of APMT and the Bolori terminals that are investing across the entire world. So moving out into other parts of the sub-region and other countries, it's still in a dream we are working on and trying to build all the local capacity to do so. We don't want to move into another country bidding for a port project using foreign expertise. We want to use our own local expertise to be able to do that.
Yeah, the last, just a week ago, we had the Kenyan ambassador. He was talking a lot about Mombasa Port and even mentioned the fact that they're thinking about having a ship by themselves. Do you envisage some level of plans like that in the future with this whole continental free trade in mind?
Okay, I did not hear the ambassador, but Kenya already has Kenyan shipping lines company. Though they don't own their own ships.
Yeah, they don't have a ship, but they have shipping lines.
Exactly. So I believe ownership of ship is going to be under the Kenyan shipping lines rather than the Kenya Port Authority.
Okay.
It's a good project to pursue. It's a very good project to pursue once the economics are right, because the market for shipping, for you to own a ship, the advice personally from the experience of so many countries across the world is that as much as possible, it shouldn't be government owned. It could be government supported, but it should not be government owned. You should drive the private sector to do so. Okay. A government will participate, whether from the Port Authority or any other agency, should be minority and allow the private sector to pilot it.
Why is that?
The reason is that the market is purely, the level of commercial and entrepreneurship, work that is involved. If you involve too much public interference, you will not be able to get the result that you want. Okay. Just go back to Black Star Line and the rest.
Yeah.
Why did Black Star Line, disappear? Because it was 100% public, and a lot of challenges. They had so many ships, but the management side, a lot of other issues resulted. And then down the line, all those ships had to be sold, and then the Black Star Line collapsed. So to go back there, it's better to work with the private sector.
Okay. Apart from that, is there any other business area you're looking at of course, with the coming on of the Continental Free Trade Area? People have suggested cruise, for instance. Is it an area that can become very enterprising within this period?
Well, in Ghana Port's master plan, we have provision for cruise terminal in the port of Tema and even for port of Takoradi. Tema Port has received a couple of cruise vessels in the last 5 years. Some 1 or 2 cruise vessels came, but the port didn't have a dedicated cruise terminal. But somehow we're able to receive the cruise tourists and provided the minimum service that is required. So we have plans to develop cruise facilities. And again, that is also not just going to be Ports and Harbors Authority or government deciding to just build a cruise terminal and expect cruise vessels to come. We have to do that in collaboration with the tourism authority, tourism ministry, Ministry of Trade, and a whole lot to be able to make sure that we have packaged our country that is sellable to the cruise market. And the cruise market doesn't want one destination. They want a region. They want, when they are coming to West Africa, they should be able to visit at least 5 countries. Otherwise, there's no point for you to come from Latin America or US and Europe in the cruise ship and just come to Ghana and go back. They want to visit a range of countries. And that is the challenge we have in West Africa, because there isn't sufficient information on West Africa and the attractions we have and the infrastructure that we have to be able to welcome cruise vessels. Today, the cruise vessels come to just towards Northern Africa. They do Gambia, Senegal, Morocco, Las Palmas, and go back. They hardly come down this way. And now, of course, the southern side, they do South Africa, the eastern side and go back. So West and Central Africa has a lot to do. And that work was being done by the Ports Association. First, for us to look at port infrastructure first. How amenable are the port infrastructure to accommodate cruise vessels? And then go inland and look at what is it that we can package in terms of regulation, facilitation, tourist sites, and history and culture that will be attractive to cruise projects. So it's a project Ghana we have as Ports Authority, and it is also available within the sub-region in every country, trying to see what we can do to attract
You've embarked on quite a number of ambitious missions to the transit nations with intent to woo them and get them into your site.
Yeah.
How successful have you been? And now that everybody seems to be grabbing one market or the other, what's your plan to grab those markets firmly?
Well, our landlocked countries, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, those are the 3 captive markets for Ghana. Chad is a bit distant, so we don't really target Chad, but Niger, Burkina, and Mali. And Burkina being the major where we have direct connection. The other 2 countries, we have to still pass through Burkina Faso to get to Mali and to Niger. The business, I think the missions we've embarked on have yielded results. The volumes have grown. Close of last year, we did 1 million tons.
1 million tons.
Yeah. And
that's the first time, because for a long time you weren't doing that.
That's right. It grew gradually, because in 2000, I remember in 2012, it's less than 200,000 tons. And then the missions, we've sustained them. We've opened a regional office in Burkina Faso, which is covering the 3 landlocked countries. Massive marketing and a lot of effort ongoing, and also trying to make sure that when the transitors come into Ghana, we provide them the best of service so that they want to stay. Otherwise, today it's Lome that is leading Ghana. Lome is leading Ghana in terms of the volumes.
I see.
We are ahead
of
the
transit countries?
Yeah, we are ahead of Abidjan, we are ahead of Benin. And the intention is that by the close of this year, we should be the number 1. We should take over from Lome.
Lome.
Yeah.
What are they doing though? We are doing over 1 million. What are they doing?
Oh, Lome did 1.2 last year.
Okay.
And
that's close.
Yeah, and they did more exports than imports. They did more exports than imports. So we feel that we need to do more and try and take over from Lome.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've got Patience on the line, and I'm not picking too many calls, but I'll pick Patience because of time though. So Patience is on the line. Hello, Patience.
Hello, sir.
Yes, please.
Okay. Please, can you? Okay.
Go ahead. We can hear you, Patience.
Okay. Can you ask the DG if he's aware that ports have a K9 unit, and if you can enlighten the public a bit about it?
Okay. What again? Please say it again. I didn't get it. If he can enlighten the public on what? Okay, I'm not sure I got that.
The post have something. What's that?
I'm not sure I got that. Please, can Director give an update on investment in establishing dry bulk?
He can enlighten the public a bit about their K9 unit.
Okay, are you familiar with that? Patience, you are not too clear. If you can mention that again, please.
K-Line Village, or K what? I didn't hear. Yeah. K what?
A-Life. Okay. You may send a text. That will be clearer. We'll attempt to read it. This one says, please, can Director General give update on establishing dry bulk terminal in Takoradi Port? Eric from Antwerp Port asked that one. And then Dodu from Ebri, the free trade as a hub. Please ask DG how is he assigning responsibilities to risk appetite, operations, maintenance, and support, the target measure to performance measurement, the balance score card within the GPHA control classification. That is coming from Dodu in Ebri. Didi, would you like to touch on those briefly, and then we can go pick international news as well as the schedules of the vessels bringing your cargo into the country?
Yeah, thank you. We had talked about the Takoradi dry bulk terminal already.
Mm-hmm.
We said that it is a state-of-the-art terminal, and today, the first phase has been done. What is ongoing right now, which is supposed to take us the next 20 months to complete, is to equip it with conveyors, There are going to be about 3 conveyors that will feed both exports, all our exports of manganese and bauxite, and also clinker imports are going to pass through that dry bulk terminal. The contract is being done by the Amandi, and they've indicated in the next 20 months they would have completed it.
Okay.
So that is what I can say about that one.
Okay.
As for the second question about risk appetite, investors, and balance scorecard.
That's quite technical.
Strategy and the rest. Well, these are. Well, let me just let you know that the heavy investment we have embarked on in the port sector, it has to be paid for.
Yeah.
And for it to be paid for, it means that the requisite management mechanisms and control mechanisms and monitoring and performance mechanisms that must be in place to ensure that the money is put to good use, the facilities that will be there are utilized appropriately to provide the services required and earn the needed returns to help us pay for the investment are in place. Today, at the headquarters in GPHA, the corporate planning department is in charge of all these strategy and the strategic documents and strategic vision and monitoring of performance. But outside the GPHA, we also have the State Interest and Governance Authority, which is with whom we also sign performance contracts every year. In fact, we are expected to sign that contract on the 1st of December to be able to show what we are going to do come 2021. We also must prove our performance for 2020, what we have achieved, what we haven't been able to achieve, why we couldn't achieve them, and we must give good reasons for what we haven't been able to achieve. Otherwise, we get queried by that authority. It used to be State Enterprises Commission.
SIGA.
So all the mechanisms are in place to ensure that the requisite strategic management formula is in place, so that we account for every single penny government allows us to spend.
Okay.
And that the trade also benefits.
Thank you, DG. We'll pick international news and the schedules of the vessels next.
DRAD Global has reported that 14 crew members have been kidnapped from a heavy lift vessel in the Gulf of Guinea. The vessel, identified as the Liberia-flagged Genhua 7, was boarded while drifting 78 nautical miles northwest of Sao Tome on November 13, 2020. According to data provided by Vessels Value, 27 seafarers, all Chinese nationals, were on board the ship at the time of the incident. Apart from the 14 kidnapped men, 1 crew member was also wounded. In a separate report by the Italian Navy frigate Federico Martinengo, the above-mentioned seafarer sustained a gunshot wound injury to its leg and was evacuated by a frigate helicopter to a hospital in Sao Tome. A total of 41 Indian seafarers have been stranded on 2 ships for months, unable to dock in Chinese ports and carry out crew changes amid heated tensions between the governments of China and Australia. The seafarers got in the middle of a debate between the 2 countries, exacerbated by the calls from Australia for an independent inquiry into the origins of the coronavirus. The AFP news agency wrote that, in response, Beijing reportedly imposed trade embargoes on Australia, targeting coal, one of Australia's key exports. The International Transport Workers Federation said the 2 ships, Juggernaut and the Anastasia, have been unable to dock since June and August this year, respectively. There are 23 seafarers on board the Juggernaut, while there are 18 seafarers on the Anastasia. The ITF urged the governments of China, India, and Australia to collaborate and urgently end the stalemate around the berthing of the coal-carrying vessels in Chinese ports, as some of the seafarers have been on board for over 20 months. Five crew members have been kidnapped by pirates from a Ghana-flagged vessel in another incident in the Gulf of Guinea. DRAD Global informed that the 1,700 deadweight tonnage cargo vessel, identified as Delta, was boarded some 44 nautical miles south of Brass, Nigeria, on 16th November. According to data provided by Vessels Value, the ill-fated ship is operated by Ghana-based Adom Mbroso Water Transport. Reports indicate that Delta was boarded by 6 or 7 pirates who took 5 seafarers as hostages. The kidnapped crew members are believed to be Ghanaian nationals. Further reports indicate that the perpetrators have damaged the onboard communications and navigation equipment. Grad Global added that the vessel was left drifting with 2 crew on board. Danish container shipping major AP Moller-Maersk managed to grow earnings and cash flow in the third quarter of this year, despite the negative effects of the COVID-19 pandemic on global economies. Profits for the period stood at $947 million in the third quarter of 2020, representing an increase of 82% from $520 million seen in the corresponding quarter a year earlier. The company said the performance increase was based on stringent cost control, agile capacity management, strong focus on customer offerings with further traction and uptake of digital services, and some benefit from a sequential demand recovery compared to the second quarter. The world's largest container shipping company, Maersk, is likely to opt for a zero-emission alternative to fossil fuels rather than choosing LNG as a bridging fuel for the company's fleet. According to the Chief Executive Officer of AP Moller-Maersk, Søren Skou, Maersk would rather go from what is being used today straight to a neutral type of fuel. However, she indicated that could be years into the future. LNG has been identified by industry majors as the likely transition fuel for the shipping sector due to the major breakthroughs made over the past few years in the development of the necessary bunkering infrastructure. There are several promising solutions in the spotlight of the shipping sector's debate on the potential fuels of the future, including ammonia, hydrogen, and batteries to power global fleets. However, the production and scale of availability of these fuels are yet to be ramped up in order to make viable alternatives. The Maersk CEO said the company was working hard on figuring out what the future fuel should be before it starts ordering any new ships.
Okay, welcome back. So my guest in the studio, and I have to say a big thank you to him, the man I have hijacked for the past an hour and a half, the Director General, Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Mr. Michael Luguje. Thank you very much, sir, DG, for joining us. And we've been talking the status of the ports of Ghana as far as the readiness to harness the potentials of the African continental free trade is concerned. For the sake of time, I wouldn't be able to read most of the messages that have come. Wisdom Adrani wasn't deliberate, so forgive. Next time, I'm sure that we'll get your responses. Try and even watch the abridged version on GH1 tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Your response, you should get it on there. Also on GTV on Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. you will get the response from the Director General on that platform as well. See you same time next week.